Good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining me. When I wake each morning and see the light break over the horizon, I often think of a simple truth. A smile has the power to become someone's sunrise. Today, I would like to speak to you about that power, about how one sibling's smile can bring hope, warmth and light into the life of another, about our shared journey, mine and Sophia's, and how together we find our place in this world of service. Body, Sophia, my sister, my companion, your smile is the gentle dawn after a long night. It reminds me that no matter how heavy the burden, no matter how many responsibilities lie ahead, there is light. Your laughter, your courage, your kindness are like rays of sun reaching across the sky, and I want you to know how deeply I value them. From our earliest days, our parents encouraged us to understand our heritage, our country, our duties. I have learned that to inherit a name is not simply to receive a title, but to accept responsibility. I have seen Sophia by my side, curious, thoughtful, strong, and I have realized how privileged we are to share this path. To me, the promise of that smile means more than a moment of happiness. It means solidarity. It means that together we walk towards a future built on respect, on empathy, on service. Because a smile, given with sincerity, opens doors to understanding, to unity, to hope, and so I ask you, as I ask myself, let us be the dawn. Let us carry that smile, not just for ourselves, but for others, for those who wait in silence, for those who fear, for those who lose their sunrise. Let our words, our actions, our presence reflect the light we wish to see in the world. As I stand here, conscious of the history I am part of, appreciative of the trust placed in me, I promise to listen. I promise to learn. I promise to serve. And alongside Sophia, I promise to honor that bond we share and that duty we carry. Because when your smile becomes my sunrise, the promise we make is not just to one another. It is to all. There are moments in life when words are unnecessary, when the simple presence of another soul tells the story more beautifully than any speech ever could. Sisterhood is one of those quiet truths. It is felt before it is spoken. It is in the glance that needs no explanation, the laughter that restores peace, the shared silence that holds more meaning than 1,000 conversations. For me, sisterhood has never been about perfection or sameness, but about growing side by side, learning to walk in harmony even when our paths diverge, and knowing that no matter where we go, we are bound by something far deeper than circumstance. I have always believed that a shared journey begins not with the destination, but with the understanding that we do not walk alone. Every day brings its own challenges, its own lessons, its own light. And within each of those moments, I am reminded of the quiet strength that comes from having someone beside you, someone who understands your silences, who believes in your best self even when you doubt it, who keeps you grounded when the world seems too vast to comprehend. That, to me, is the essence of sisterhood. It is not only companionship, it is the mirror through which you learn who you truly are. Growing up, the world around us often felt both immense and intimate. Immense because we were taught that our choices could echo beyond our own lives. Intimate because the walls of home reminded us that kindness begins in small gestures, in patience, in listening. In respect, it is within those walls that I learned that sisterhood is a form of service, too. It is about giving space, about forgiving quickly, about celebrating one another's differences instead of fearing them. It is about knowing when to speak and when to simply stand close enough for someone to feel your quiet support. There are times when I look back and realize how much our shared moments have shaped my understanding of duty and of love. The laughter that filled our mornings, the challenges we faced together, the lessons whispered by experience, all of these formed a bridge between us, one built on trust and mutual respect. There were days of uncertainty, of learning, of stepping into roles that felt larger than ourselves. Yet in every one of those moments, having someone who shares not just your family name, but your heartbeat gives courage. It reminds you that even in solitude, you are never truly alone. Sisterhood teaches humility. It teaches that no matter how far you go, there is always someone who remembers the truest version of you. The one who knows your first words, your first fears, your first dreams. It teaches that leadership and responsibility mean nothing without empathy, that strength is gentler and more enduring when shared. It also teaches that the bond between sisters is not fragile. It bends, it stretches, it grows, but it does not break. Because it is built on memories that no distance can erase and on affection that no change can diminish. In this shared journey, I have come to understand that the smallest gestures often carry the greatest meaning. A look that says, "I'm proud of you," a touch that says, "I'm here," a smile that says, "Keep going." We may walk at different paces, we may see the world through different eyes, but our hearts remain tethered to the same promise to support one another, to bring light to one another's darkness, to remind each other why we began this journey at all. There is also a kind of quiet discipline in sisterhood, one that reflects the discipline required of a life of service. To care, to remain patient, to lift another when they fall. These are acts of courage that do not need recognition, but they build character. They make us understand that strength and softness are not opposites, they coexist. And when we learn to carry both with grace, we discover that the most powerful way to serve others is often through gentleness. Our shared journey is not just a story of two individuals, but a reflection of every relationship built on trust and love. It is a reminder that unity is not found in uniformity but in harmony, that each of us brings something unique, and together those differences form a melody greater than any one voice alone. It is a journey that asks for patience, for humility, for faith not only in ourselves, but in one another. Sometimes I think about the years ahead, about the roles we are still growing into, and I feel a quiet certainty that whatever changes may come, that bond will remain constant. Because sisterhood is not bound by age or by duty, it is a lifelong promise. It is the assurance that in every sunrise and every shadow there is a familiar hand nearby, one that steadies you when you stumble and rejoices when you rise. It is a bond that whispers, "You can do this because we do this together." In learning to share a journey, I have also learned to listen more closely, to see beyond myself, to understand that every story, every person, is part of something greater. Sisterhood is not only between two people. It is the spirit of connection that binds communities, that transforms the individual into part of a whole. It teaches that our lives gain meaning when we walk beside others, not ahead or behind them. It is in that shared rhythm that we find strength, a strength that carries us through moments of doubt and makes joy even brighter when it comes. And so, as I look to the path that stretches before us, I do so with gratitude, gratitude for the lessons learned, for the laughter shared, for the endless support that has guided each step. Gratitude for the journey itself, one marked not by perfection, but by progress, by care, by love. I have come to believe that the most beautiful thing we can offer one another is presence, not advice, not correction, but presence. To say, simply, "I am here with you," because at the end of every day, that is what sisterhood is, a quiet constancy, a promise kept in the simplest of ways. And our shared journey through its changes, its challenges, its joys is a reflection of that promise. Together we move forward not as two separate souls, but as companions in a shared purpose, to serve, to uplift, to bring light wherever life takes us. And if one day the world forgets the words we have spoken or the steps we have taken, I hope it remembers this, that in walking together we found our strength, that in each other's eyes we found our reflection, that in the quiet, unspoken language of sisterhood we learned the truest meaning of love and duty, and that, more than anything else, will always be enough. Light has always been a quiet companion to hope. It appears gently, never demanding attention, yet everything it touches changes. It transforms the ordinary into something luminous, reminding us that even in the darkest moments there is always a beginning waiting to emerge. I have come to see light not just as a part of nature, but as a reflection of what we carry within ourselves, the courage to move forward, the belief that something better awaits, and the determination to become that brightness for others. Hope, much like light, is fragile and strong at once. It flickers when the wind rises, but it does not die. It bends, it trembles, yet it remains. Each dawn carries a lesson. The night never truly disappears. It simply gives way. The first rays of the sun do not erase the darkness. They reveal what it was hiding. They show us that beauty was there all along, waiting for light to find it. That is what hope does. It doesn't deny pain or fear. It transforms them into the soil from which strength grows. It teaches us that even when the road is uncertain, the presence of a single spark can guide us forward. I often think about how light behaves. It travels quietly, yet nothing can move faster. It crosses great distances without complaint, touching places that have been waiting for its warmth. It does not choose where to shine. It simply shines. There is something deeply human in that, a reminder that we too are capable of illuminating, of bringing warmth and clarity to others simply by being sincere, by being present. In that way, we each carry our own sunrise within. Hope is the light that begins in silence. It rarely announces itself. It appears when we least expect it, in a kind gesture, in forgiveness, in the courage to try again. It is not loud, and yet it changes everything. Sometimes it feels as though the world moves too quickly, that uncertainty overshadows everything familiar. But hope teaches patience. It tells us to trust the dawn even when the night feels endless. It reminds us that the most meaningful transformations happen slowly, just as light grows from the faintest glow to the full brilliance of day. There are times when the clouds hide the sun, when even the most hopeful heart feels weary. In those moments I have learned that light is not gone, it is simply waiting behind what obscures it. And perhaps that is what resilience truly means, to remember the light even when we cannot see it, to believe that behind every challenge something bright is preparing to return. Hope, in that sense, is not naive. It is an act of strength, a decision to keep believing, to keep giving, to keep walking forward even when the path is not clear. Light also reminds me of responsibility. The brighter the flame, the more carefully it must be tended. Hope, too, needs care. It grows stronger when shared, when nurtured through compassion and service. When we offer encouragement to others, we reflect that light outward, allowing it to multiply. A single candle can ignite another without losing anything of itself. That is the beauty of hope. The more we give it, the more it grows. It belongs not to one, but to all. I have often found that moments of greatest clarity come when the world is quiet, when light falls softly across familiar places. It is in those moments that hope feels closest, not as something distant or grand, but as something near and alive. Sometimes it is in the smile of a child, the patience of a teacher, the quiet devotion of someone who serves without expecting recognition. These small lights, scattered through our daily lives, create the glow that keeps humanity moving forward. Hope also demands honesty. It asks us to face reality, not to escape it. Light does not deny the existence of shadow, it gives it shape. In the same way, hope allows us to see the full picture of life, the sorrow alongside the joy, the loss alongside the promise. To hope is to accept that imperfection is not the opposite of beauty, but part of it. It teaches us that every end carries within it the seed of a beginning, that even in difficulty there is a quiet invitation to grow. There is something humbling in standing before the dawn. That moment when darkness and light meet and the world seems to hold its breath. It is a reminder that balance exists in everything. We need both shadow and radiance to understand depth. Without contrast, there would be no perspective. Hope exists because we have known fear. Light matters because we have walked through darkness. What gives both their power is the way they complete one another. In the journey of life, we are all called to be guardians of light, not only in grand gestures, but in everyday acts. To speak with kindness when silence is easier, to forgive when pride tempts us to hold on, to believe in someone when they have stopped believing in themselves. These are the ways we keep the light alive. Each act may seem small, but together they create a horizon that others can follow. Light is also a teacher of humility. It does not ask to be seen, yet its presence is unmistakable. It reminds us that the most meaningful impact often happens quietly. The world does not need brilliance that blinds, but warmth that comforts. True hope does not seek attention, it seeks to serve. It brings calm where there is unrest, clarity where there is confusion, gentleness where there is fear. As I think about the future, the one we are all shaping together, I find comfort in that image of light. It travels far beyond its source, touching places unseen. We may not witness all the results of our efforts, but like light, our actions continue long after we have moved on. Hope is the same. It is the inheritance we leave behind, the unseen force that helps others rise when we are no longer there to guide them. And perhaps that is the true purpose of both, to illuminate, not for our own sake, but for those who come after us. To make the path a little clearer, the world a little kinder, to believe, even when the evidence is uncertain, that every small light contributes to something greater. So when I see the first light of morning, I remind myself that every new day is an invitation, to begin again, to bring warmth where it is missing, to believe when belief feels fragile. Hope does not demand perfection. It only asks that we keep faith in one another, in our shared humanity, in the quiet promise that after every night there will be dawn. And as long as there is even a single spark left in us, a single act of love, a single moment of courage, a single word of kindness, there will always be light. And where there is light, there will always, always be hope. Commitment and gratitude are not separate virtues, they are reflections of one another. One gives meaning to duty, the other gives heart to purpose. To be committed is to remain steady when the path becomes uncertain, and to be grateful is to remember that no path is ever truly walked alone. These two ideas have guided my understanding of life of service, of responsibility, and of belonging. They have shaped not only how I act, but how I see the world, how I listen, and how I hope to contribute to something greater than myself. Commitment begins quietly. It is rarely declared in words. It lives in choices, in consistency, in the moments when no one is watching. It is the promise made to oneself before it is ever shared with others. To commit is to say, I will not turn away when things become difficult. I will keep learning, keep trying, keep believing. There is dignity in such perseverance, not because it draws attention, but because it builds strength. It teaches patience, it teaches humility, It shows us that every step taken with sincerity has value, even if the road ahead is long. Gratitude is what gives that journey its soul. It reminds us that none of us stand alone, that every accomplishment rests upon the efforts and kindness of others. It asks us to look back not with pride but with appreciation, to remember the teachers who guided us, the friends who encouraged us, the family who stood beside us even in silence. Gratitude transforms responsibility into joy. It turns duty into devotion. It allows us to serve not because we must, but because we want to, because it feels right, because it honors those who believed in us. When I think about commitment, I think about constancy, a word that carries both strength and gentleness. True commitment is not stubbornness, it is steadiness. It means adapting without losing direction, being open to growth while remaining faithful to your values. It is a daily decision to live with purpose, even when the rewards are not immediate. It is the quiet endurance that builds trust over time. And trust once earned is the most sacred form of gratitude one can receive. Gratitude, in turn, deepens commitment. It reminds us why we began. It brings light to the moments that might otherwise feel heavy. When we act with gratitude, we see every challenge as an opportunity to give back, to make our actions worthy of the support and love we have received. Gratitude softens ambition and purifies intent. It turns the weight of responsibility into something noble, not a burden to bear, but a calling to honor. There are many people whose dedication and kindness have shown me what commitment truly means. Those who rise each morning with quiet determination to make life better for others, the teachers who nurture curiosity, the doctors who bring comfort, the workers who keep everything moving even when unnoticed. Their commitment is not proclaimed, but lived. They remind us that greatness is not found in titles or positions, but in persistence, in reliability, in the willingness to give your best each day. To witness such devotion is to be humbled and to feel gratitude that runs deeper than words. There is also a more personal side to commitment, the inner promise to remain true to oneself. In a world that often demands quick results and constant noise, staying grounded is its own form of courage. It takes discipline to listen more than you speak, to act with thought instead of haste, to choose what is right over what is easy. Commitment to values, to integrity, to the service of others, these are choices made quietly but felt widely. They ripple outward, shaping not only who we become, but how others perceive what we represent. Gratitude anchors those choices. It teaches that every gift carries a responsibility not to repay, but to continue. When we are given trust, we must nurture it. When we are given opportunity, we must use it to uplift others. Gratitude makes us aware of the interconnectedness of all things. It reminds us that our successes are not ours alone, and that even in moments of personal achievement, there is always a collective story behind them, the unseen hands, the guiding voices, moments of encouragement that gave us strength to persevere. To live with commitment and gratitude is to live with awareness. It means recognizing that each day offers a chance to renew our dedication and express our thankfulness